What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Palazzo Podcast, 2Ls, 2Zs. Welcome to the Week 9 Faab-Ulous Waiver Wire show. Your boy, Mike Virginia, and the Tennessee kid himself, Britton Allan. Britton Allan, how are we doing this weekend on this fabulous Memorial Day weekend?
Oh, man, we're doing great. And today we've got a favorite of the show, Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox, playing today against somebody for the Brewers. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like somebody called Tobias Myers. Don't know that young gentleman, but gambling tip of the day. Let's go Sox.
Hey, since we're talking about gambling, I'm going to set the over-under on this Memorial Day weekend at 5.5 Miller Lights for Mr. Britton Allan this weekend. Are we taking the over on that?
Slam that over like there's no tomorrow. Over, like the line's already moving. It's already moving. Now it's minus 200. Now It's minus 250. You missed out on all the value. Yeah, definitely over the 5.5 Miller Lights. Memorial Day, man. Beer, burgers, hot dogs, baseball. And we call this the Faab-Ulous show, free agent acquisition budget. But I kind of want to change it just for today, the stash show, because I think there's some players we need to at least think about starting to stash, like the Wire, like where they kept all the good drugs, the stash house. We got to fill up the stash house a little bit because we're about a third. Maybe a little less than a third of the season. So there's 2/3 of the season left. So we got to start making some stashes. What do you think? And I don't mean the Polskins mustache. I mean the place where you stash all your money and drugs.
Absolutely. I love that, man. And I must ask you a question here. Are you excited for Week 9 coming up? And then also, how are you doing in your leagues? Let's do a little check-in here.
That's a great idea. That's a good thing to check in on the leagues. I'm doing pretty good. I play a lot of NFBC style, so let me just turn on over into there. See how we're doing. I'm in the TGBIF draft.
TGFBI.
That's what I said. Exactly. Just what I said. I'm in 7th place with 87 points. You figure with 87 points, I might be a little higher than 7th, but that's not the case.
Yep.
Let's see. I was in 1st place in one of my draft champions for the entire year until this week. I've dropped down into 3rd. Other than that, I'm mostly kind of like I see I'm 3, 1, 6, 4, 6. That's like the combination to my bank account. 11, 2, 3. I'm kind of in the mix. What about you? How are your leagues doing?
I'm doing well, man. I have yet to lose a game in my head-to-head categories league, in my home league, so I'm happy about that. It is looking a little shaky right now. I need some good pitching performances today. For those of you guys who are watching the Tigers and the Blue Jays, keep me updated because I need Yusei Kikuchi to shove it up their butts today, so need that. In TGF,
I love Kikuchi because every time I see his name or see him on the mound, I go, Kikuchi. I don't know why. I have no idea, but that's what I do.
Sounds like a sneeze.
It does. It's like Kikuchi.
Bless you.
Thank you.
The TGFBI right now, my overall ranking is 113, and in my league rank, I'm number 4 with 95.5 points.
That's great.
Yeah, and I will note
the mix.
Yeah, the Palazzo Invitational, I'm not doing too well, and that's a draft and hold. I'm 48, and I'm 10th in our league with 74.5 points. But I got to say, Britton, now this is my first time playing NFBC leagues or any NFBC formats. Just really getting used to the platform. For those of you guys who don't follow me, make sure you guys do so. I'm at _Mike VA. Britton is at Britton Allan, 2 T's, 2 L's. I had no idea that TGFBI, we had Fab budget. I thought it was a draft and hold. So I didn't know that until after the first month of the season. So I probably missed out on a lot of guys, which kind of sucked. But
that could work 2 ways.
Yeah,
That could also be you didn't go spend $500 on uh, some
Cowser or somebody like that.
yeah, Jackson Holiday or something, and so sometimes the best trades are the ones that don't happen.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I do want to bring that up later today in today's show. Uh, let's go ahead and dive in real quick before we do so. Make sure you guys are following us on all the platforms, Palazzo Podcast YouTube channel, like, subscribe, follow us on all the socials. You guys know the deal. Get in the Discord, yada yada. And this is also a forum for you to ask your questions as we head into the week 9, which starts tomorrow. So if you guys have questions on free agents, players, ads, drops, trades, dynasty, the whole 9 yards, or if you just want to know what's on tap for Britton this afternoon in terms of his schedule, feel free, because that's what we do here. We want to make sure that you guys have all the necessary info that you need, not just for today, but for next week as well. So
the group chat's already dropping some names on us, man. I love it.
Yeah. Bizza, happy Royce Lewis returns week. He returned yesterday, went 1 for 4 with a hit and a stolen base, which was surprising to me for a guy coming off a quad injury. I didn't get to see it. One of my followers said he still looked a little gimpy, but that's going to take some time. Chad says, speaking of the Sox, they have signed Brad Keller to a 1-year deal to replace Whitlock. His stuff could play well in fantasy. Yeah, we'll find out on that one, Chad. Britton Pistol RX wants to know, who is Britton's booty call this week? Last it was Kevin Pillar. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Happy Memorial Day to you, Pistol RX. Britton, do you have a booty call for the week?
I'm going to keep banging that Junior Caminero drum until somebody takes it away from me and puts me in timeout where I belong. But Junior Caminero, in like 27 games, he's hit 10 home runs. I mean, he is a power. Barry Bonds, David Ortiz wrapped into one. And you think, well, his name's Junior. His name should be Senior, but it's Junior. So I think people kind of underrate him. And Caminero, they're like, are you talking about the car, the El Camino? Like, no. Totally different situation. Junior Caminero, the power hitter, #1 prospect in all of AAA, other than Jackson Holiday, but Junior Caminero for the Rays. He's coming up soon. They can't hold him down, and we all know Brandon Lowe, whatever you call his name, he's injured again. It's just a matter of time before we get Junior Caminero. So what I do is on Saturday night, you go meet your friends at a bar, you have a few drinks turn into more drinks, then you have something to eat. Next thing you know, it's 1 o'clock. You're kind of wasted. So you go out to have some more drinks, or if you live in Memphis, you go to Tunica, Mississippi, and you drive back home. It's 5 a.m. Who are you going to call?
Junior Caminero, baby.
Junior Caminero. What do you need? You need production. you need action. And that's what Junior Caminero is going to bring. But I also do like they brought up Royce Lewis. He's going to take a week or two, like Mike V said, because he's got to get ramped up, and they're going to give him some rest, and they're going to allow him to. But he's such a productive player when he's hitting and running. So I would stash Caminero 1, Royce Lewis 2, and do you have any other stashes I'm missing? Oh, Aurelvis Martinez. That's a great one too. Aurelvis Martinez for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's killing it in the minor leagues. I like him a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, I love all of those calls. For me personally, Royce Lewis should have never been dropped in any league. That's how high I am on him, Britton. I talked about him in the Twitter spaces that we did this previous Thursday. He's a super prospect, guys. He's a guy, if he can stay healthy, could win you your leagues. He's got a phenomenal power bat. The team context with Minnesota is meh at best. But again, if he can stay healthy, this is a guy that I like as a top 30 player rest of season. That's how high I am on him, Mr. Royce Lewis. So he just needs to stay healthy.
That's his big thing. It's those soft tissue injuries that have been piling up, a hamstring here, a knee injury there. But man, he's so good. He's a great player. But he's got to get right, man. You got to go you got to go to the get the platelet injections. Like he just needs to have that on the reg,
Oh
like
yeah.
no, like every week, go see the platelet guy that puts your blood in the spinner and then pumps it back into you. Just keep that good stuff in you, because if he would just stay healthy, he could be like a Ronald Acuna type superstar.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and dive into some of the meat of the show real quick. I'm going to get this out of the way. For those of you guys who follow me, every Monday I post this, but I like going over this stuff in the beginning of Sunday, just really quickly for everybody. If you play in weekly formats, this is useful information. Game for the schedule this week, there are 10 teams that have 7 games. That includes the Braves, the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Astros, the Royals, the Brewers, the Twins, the Mets, the Mariners, and the Nationals. There are 18 teams with 6, and then there are 2 teams with 5 games, which is Pittsburgh and Texas. So other than those 12 teams that I mentioned, the rest of those get 6 games on the docket. So the friendliest hitter matchups, which is subject to change based off how today goes. The top hitter friendly matchup is Cleveland next week, Dodgers, the Rangers, even though they only have 5 games, the Blue Jays, and the Braves. So maybe this is a get right week for all of those Braves hitters, Britton.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh yeah, baby.
It's going to happen. Death, taxes, and the Atlanta Braves bounce back. It's all of that's coming. Hopefully the bounce back is before those others.
Exactly right.
Yeah. But that bounce back's coming, and this could be the week. And the Guardians you talked about too. They're on like a 12-game win streak. Jose Ramirez is one of the hottest hitters in baseball. If you don't follow the Guardians, and frankly, why would you? But no offense, Cleveland, but the Cleveland Guardians have been hitting above their weight all season long. So I think it may be time to actually start to consider maybe this is just a really good team. Is there anybody on the Guardians other than we all know Josh Naylor. Yep. We all know Jose Ramirez, obviously. But there are some kind of fringy guys to take a look at, like David Fry. His playing time is a little bit of an issue, but if you look at all his eligibility, it's like catcher first, second, he's got like all the stuff because they kind of use him everywhere. But I really like picking up players on hot teams, like picking up Daz Cameron for the A's is fun, but he plays for the A's and they're going to score 3 runs. Whereas, at least the Guardians kind of keep it moving. Do you like any of those fringy Guardians, like a David Fry, or is it just so random? You're like, what the hell are you talking about?
No. Here's the thing. I will fully admit, somebody asked me about David Fry a long time ago, and it's worth noting that he's got 3 position eligibility in Yahoo: catcher, first base, and outfield. They've started to play him a little bit more regularly. I didn't like him simply because he was off. Like there's a stretch where he was off 3 straight games, and then it was every other game. And his playing time is still fringy at best. So I'm glad
it's got to be a daily moves league, no doubt. Yeah, you're right.
And this is a thing that I wanted to bring up today, and I'm glad I wanted to talk about it with Luke Raley, but I'm going to bring it up with David Fry. If David Fry is going to be like my number 1 catcher, or if he's a backup first baseman or a backup outfielder, like a guy that I'm putting on my bench, first off, I never, ever like drafting or having 2 catchers in a 1 catcher league. I just think it's a waste of a roster space. But if you have 2 guys who are fringe worthy, that just clogs up a roster spot. So anyways, back to my point. If you're already a part-time player on my team and you're a part-time player as is, that's a double whammy for me. So I don't like rostering guys like that. Especially, don't get me wrong, the production has been there, but I believe he's going to start playing a little bit more regularly especially if he continues to hit like this. So it's going in the right direction, which is great. But the other guys that I like on that team too, like Andres Jimenez has been pretty solid hitting in the 2 hole. So that's
the
obviously
big cat.
good. Yeah,
I like that. I feel like if you're named Andre Jimenez and you're the big cat, because it's kind of like Andre Galarraga. Remember him? But even though they're completely different and look completely different. So
and the weight difference is probably
everything's different. and
Yeah.
yet Andre Jimenez is still the big cat. Sorry, Andre.
There you go. No, and those are some of the guys that I like. It's worth noting we talked about it on Friday's show. Stephen Kwan's going to be coming back soon. This is a sneaky good team, and I definitely think that they're going to win the Central if they continue to hit like this. And they're doing this without Shane Bieber, right? So who's arguably their ace, and they're getting Gavin Williams back at some point as well. So this is a fun
hell
team.
yeah, they're getting Gavin Williams back. Let's go, Gavin.
And Emmanuel Clase, Britton, outside of Mason Miller, which everybody knows who I love. Manuel Clase is probably RP. You can make a case that he's RP1 this year, man. He's been that good. So,
oh yeah, that's kind of one of their keys to success is they have a team leader like Jose Ramirez that does everything right, plays hard, Mr. Hustle, you know, Johnny Pete Rose Hustle, slamming in the bags, always, just watching him walk gets me excited. You know, the way he struts around like that little chicken hawk. You remember that little cartoon character? But he's a good guy. I love Jose Ramirez. He took less money to stay on that team because he loves it. And yeah, I really like that call. Like and David Fry too. Like that somebody said in the chat, and I thought this was perfect. He's a perfect catcher too, because when he does play, he tends to produce, and his batting average won't kill you like a Gary Sanchez who typically bats 190 or whatever it is. So, but hey, speaking of underrated teams, the Kansas City Royals have won like 33 games. It's crazy because when you think of the Kansas City Royals, you don't think of like a offensive juggernaut or pitching juggernaut, but whatever's working is working. And one guy that's super hot lately, Nelson Velasquez. You remember this guy preseason power? He power hitting bat. I love the fact that he's in Kansas City in the heart of the lineup. I think he bats fifth behind or sixth behind Sally Perez. So he hits right there in the middle. And when you hit right there in the middle, when you got Bobby Witt on base, I mean, you hit a single and they're going to come around to score because that's how fast he is, and Garcia too. So I love those guys at the top of the lineup, and then guys like Nelson Velasquez that can kick a sac fly or hit a double or do whatever to clear the bases. But he's turned it on recently. And this is weird too. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Hunter Renfroe is starting to heat up.
Oh boy.
I think he's starting to heat up. But I love Nelson Velasquez, number one, just because last year, man, you saw a little hint of it, and he's had a slow start, but I think he's starting to turn it on a little bit. Do you have any interest in those random as S outfielders for the Kansas City Royals?
Well, here's the thing with Nelson Velasquez. We talked about him a lot last year, and he seems very inconsistent. He's very streaky for me, so he's very inconsistent. But if he can continue to keep this up, I just need to see it a little bit longer. A guy that I really liked, who I was looking at very, very closely to add to this show and even to some of my teams, Mr. Michael Massey, who Britton Allan brought up a couple of weeks ago, folks, on this show. I believe he hit the IL, unfortunately. He was on a heater, and it sucks because I was very big on him when he first came up. If you remember correctly, Britton, when the Royals got rid of Whit Merrifield and traded him to Toronto, Michael Massey was the talk of the town coming up to replace him. So I think that's part of the reason why they let him go, because they knew what they had in Michael Massey. And he's had some bad luck recently, but yeah, I liked him. Hunter Renfroe, same thing. Maybe in deeper formats, I'd be looking to add.
If you're desperate for power, you gotta get it somewhere. And
of course.
Those two guys are power bats that it's like we always say, we're booty calling. We're not meeting your parents.
Nope.
I'm not coming over for Sunday dinner. It's 3 a.m. and I'm lonely and I'm a hammered situation.
That's right. After you give Junior Caminero a call and that doesn't work out, you call one of these guys.
This is not involved in my Nelson Velasquez call up.
There you go. One guy I wanted to talk about as an ad for this week, Britton, Mr. Jake Myers of the Houston Astros.
Oh, that's a great call. I think I buried the lead. I think this is probably the number one pickup. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, he's been that good. I'm hoping I have a bid in for him, my home league. I'm hoping to get him. Over the last 2 weeks, he's been arguably a top 10 player, going 16 for 42, which is a 381 average, 7 runs, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, a stolen base, and he gets Seattle and Minnesota next week. So, middle of the road there. I like him a lot as an ad, and I was concerned because when Chas McCormick came back, I thought to myself, like, is the playing time going to be there? Like, is it going to be off and on? Like we already talked about, like he sits against lefties or he sits against this pitcher, or they need to get rotations in with these. And I was like, I'm probably out. But I would now that McCormick is back, he's been playing, man. They got to leave him in the lineup. He's only 19% rostered in Yahoo, so he's my number one ad for this week is Jake Myers. Do you have any interest in him, Britton?
Yes, 100%. If you look at his StatCast metrics, it's a sea of red, baby. It's it looks like Aaron Judge's StatCast page. I mean, He hits the ball hard. He barrels it. Maybe he went to Driveline. I don't know what he did. Maybe he drinks a bunch of Nupresso like I do, and he's just all jacked up. But he's made himself so valuable that they can't bench him. That's Jake Myers. So yeah, I think he's 100%, because it's not just a hot streak. I mean, it is, but it's also all the metrics backing it up with everything you want a good hitter to be. Just dial them up on your StatCast page and take a look. I mean, it's staggering. So 100% Jake Myers.
Fantasy Sports wants to know, in a redraft league, Britton, how would you rank these starting pitchers? Christian Scott, Tanner Houck, Tanner Bybee, Jesus Luzardo, and Nick Lodolo. How would you rank those guys rest of season?
Tanner Houck won one ring to rule them all. The Ring of Power is owned by Tanner Houck. And then you have those ring race guys. These are the other guys here. They're riding the dark horses and they talk all weird. That's these guys. But so you have Houck at Mordor, and then you've got Bybee, Christian Scott, Lodolo, and then Luzardo. I put Luzardo last because team context and things of that nature. But Tanner Houck. I like Christian Scott too, but he's a rookie, and everybody that plays for the Mets is cursed. So I'll take Tanner Houck and I'll take the two Tanners. They're out there. They've got bows and arrows, and they're hitting deer, and then they're getting the pelts out, on the thing, like next to the log cabin. So two Tanners. That's what I want. What do you think?
There you go. Yeah, I'm slightly different, and I'm just going to switch around two guys. I agree. Tanner Houck 1, Bybee 2. I would actually I know we talked about him on Friday's show, and you guys you and Gove were in on selling high on Nick Lodolo. I'm still not ready to quit him yet. I know he's been a little rocky over his past couple starts, but I'd like the strikeout potential, and I know the injury concern is there. But I'd actually go Nick Lodolo number 3, Christian Scott 4,
spicy.
And then Jesus Luzardo number 5. I'm with you on Luzardo. I do think he gets moved at the deadline though. And I think somebody's going to, I could see him very well going to maybe a team like the Orioles or maybe the Rangers or somebody like that to shore up some starting rotation for a contender. So I think at some point Luzardo could jump up in these rankings between these 5 guys. But I agree with that. He's 5 for me as well.
Yeah. So Tanner Houck, as we mentioned, plays today. I hope he has a good game. But of course, since I've been talking him up,
watch, he's going to get shelled.
He's going to get blasted by the Brewers. Willie Adames is going to hit a grand slam. I'm like,
But speaking of getting, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. That's just how it works. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. Which, speaking of getting shelled, I have Yusei Kikuchi going today, and he's getting his tits lit, according to Bizza. And just a quick update on Mr. Kikuchi. He's thrown 45 pitches, 2 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, no strikeouts. So that's not good. I'm probably going to lose my ERA category now. But he's got 3 guys going as well. So who knows? Maybe I might be getting my first loss this week, Britton. Anyways,
you can't win them all, Mike V. Can't win them all. It's like it's a law of statistics.
Yep. but nobody likes losing. So, Britton, outside of Jake Myers, and we talked about your other guy, Nelson Velasquez, who is another hitter that you like on the waiver wire that's could be widely available in most leagues. Who are you looking to pick up this week?
I'm still looking at Luis Matos if he hasn't been picked up for whatever reason. And I hate to keep saying it, but his roster, he's still not rostered all that much. And I don't know why,
Yeah.
but maybe it's because it's a West Coast team, San Francisco. But Luis Matos is continuing to hit. He takes walks. He bats. He's been batting leadoff for the San Francisco Giants. I watched that bat with him yesterday. Playing the Mets, and I can't remember who the Mets starter was, but it was somebody. And Luis Matos went down 0-2, came back, took a pitch, fouled off a couple of minutes, came back, got the count back up to 3-2, and then singled and drove in a run. I'm just like this. He's just like an advanced hit tool rookie, and you don't see stuff like that all that often, even by veterans. He's been really impressive. He's been producing, and he had that crazy last weekend, 12 RBIs in 3 games. Of course, that's not going to happen. And yes, he is going to go into a slump. I get all that. But Luis Matos for the Giants is a really talented pitcher, and he's going to have ups, he's going to have downs. But if Luis Matos, look for Jake Myers, look for Luis Matos for the Giants. And pick him up in a 5 outfielder league redraft because he looks like he's going to produce, and I love players that bat leadoff.
Yeah, agreed with you there. I think the reason why people are out on him is because of the fact that he was hitting 218 in the minors, and not to say that he can't figure it out the majors. Some guys just do that, right? Like they're like, this sucks. I'm just waiting for my call in the minors.
Yeah, they're going through the motions. That Ronald Acuna did the same thing, and then I just like a lot of these players like Aurelvis Martinez isn't having a great run, but that's kind of like, he's got nothing to prove. He should be up. He needs to be up. He needs to be playing every day for the Blue Jays. And it's just like, and I get it. He's a professional. These are all professionals, and they have to come to work every day. But at some point, your plate appearance up against some pitcher that you're just like, yeah, whatever. I hear what you're saying, but I do agree that I would love it if every AAA prospect was batting 300, but
right. Yeah, that's the thing too, is and we saw flashes from Matos. It's worth noting too that Matos isn't a guy that was buried in the prospect rankings in San Francisco. He's one of their top guys, so he very well could be figuring it out here. I agree with Britton. If you need an outfielder, and not to mention too, his spot in the lineup is going to be in the upper third. Currently, right now, he's hitting leadoff. So if you need a guy in the outfield that can do a little bit of everything, Matos is your dude. Britton, a guy that's number 2 for me, and we talked about him on Friday's show. Shout out Chad. Nick Gonzalez of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah, only 10% rostered in Yahoo right now. He's hitting 308 with 8 runs, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases over the last month. So he qualifies at second and short. I'm all about riding this wave. A former top prospect of Pittsburgh. Maybe he's also figuring it out here too. He gets games against Detroit and Toronto next week. Worth noting that he's only getting 5 games, but especially if you need middle infield help, Nick Gonzalez is a guy that I like, and I'm going to be looking to put in some bids for him as well in a couple of my leagues. I just like what he's been doing recently since he's been called up, really, Britton, over the past month. It's hard to argue what he's been doing. So I like Nick Gonzalez, and he's widely available in Yahoo formats. Nick Gonzalez is somebody who's worth your attention. So
yeah, he's the definition. If you pick up your Merriam's dictionary, it's like this thick, like who uses a dictionary, like just Google it. But if you did have a dictionary, the definition of post type sleeper is Nick Gonzalez. Because when he got called up last year, we were going nuts. Like, oh, here we go. It's like Francisco Lindor all over again or something. And then he just like it happens, things didn't work out. He got sent back down, and everybody forgot about him. But here we are. Nick Gonzalez is making it happen. And like you said, he's got the prospect pedigree.
Yep.
This guy's been, one of the best hitters in the Pirate system for years. So I'm glad he's finally making it happen. So I like Nick Gonzalez a lot. Let's take a look at the Pirates. Are the Pirates? Because everybody talks about Paul Skeens, and for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about Jared Jones, also for good reason. Wouldn't that be great if I know Mike V, your team is the Baltimore Orioles, so you can't really complain about anything. But just think if you had Jared Jones and Paul Skeens on the O's. I mean, it would literally be like an unstoppable force, like that asteroid in Armageddon, nobody is stopping it. Like, here it comes. God, I love those two pitchers.
I'm glad you brought those guys up. Realistically, how many innings do you see from both those guys, like, before this season ends? I don't think the Pirates are making the playoffs or the postseason. I could be wrong. We still have a lot of baseball left, but I almost think Pittsburgh does not want to make the playoffs, because at some point they're going to shut these guys down. And if they're in the hunt and then they shut these guys down, they're like, hey, we're not going to let you guys throw more than X amount of innings. And then the fan base goes, what the hell are we doing here? We're in the playoff race. Why are we shutting them down?
I think you just let them go. I mean, the Pirates are 3 games below 500. I mean, that's not exactly insurmountable.
No, not at all.
Hey, you want to hear something funny? Like a quick closer note. Bednar, remember how awful he was to start the season? He's got 11 saves. So out of their 25 wins, Bednar has saved 11, probably blown 5. So and his Bednar's ERA is 6.75.
That's right. Yep.
So so they're kind of winning, even in spite of that. The Pirates are kind of putting it together. But I don't know if you know this, because I don't watch all the, other than Skeens and Jared Jones, I don't really pay attention to the Pirates.
Same.
Other than O'Neill Cruz. But did you know, this is like that commercial, like, the more you know, ding, ding, ding. Like, Andrew McCutchen is the DH leadoff hitter every day for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Did you know that Andrew McCutchen was back playing for Pittsburgh?
I did know that, yeah, especially because I just watched him over in good old Wrigley Field, and when they called his name batting leadoff, I said, "Wait, Andrew McCutchen, like the Andrew McCutchen of old, Andrew McCutchen,
that guy,
he's on the team." Yeah. I actually saw him. I actually saw him in an airport one time back when he had the dreads. I think he was playing for Philly at the time, and couldn't be a nicer guy. Like, you would think that he was going to big time me walking up to him. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Andrew McCutchen. And I'm like, hey, are you indeed Andrew McCutchen? He's like, I am, man. He's got his feet propped up on his suitcase. He's got his headphones on. I shook his hand. I said, I was a huge fan. I had you on a couple fantasy teams, man. Couldn't be a nicer guy. Just loves talking baseball.
Yeah, he seems like a great guy. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but from all his interviews. And here's the thing, like, when fans love a player, there's a reason, and the reason is because the player is good to the fans. So and that's a character thing. So good for him. He's batting 232. Man, that whole team sucks. I'm sorry.
It does, dude.
The only player with a batting average above 300 is Nick Gonzalez, and that's kind of pumped it up recently. But man, the next highest one is Connor Joe.
Oof.
Oof. Oh,
let's do this real quick. If O'Neill Cruz starts to figure it out, Nick Gonzalez continues to hit. Like, there's your middle of the order kind of guys, right? And then McCutchen's going to be a solid bat. He's way past his prime. We all know that, but they could be there. I mean, like you said, they're only a couple games back from 500. But back to my original question here, Britton, how long do you think that we see? How many innings do you think these guys go, just off the top of your head?
Oh, I don't know. Probably 120. I think the problem with Skeens was last year when he played for LSU. Didn't they burn his, candle at both ends? Like, I mean, like 100 or was like 200 innings or something
he
bad.
Threw a lot.
Like,
he threw a lot.
Yeah, and the reason why they did it is because they were going for a national championship, which they won, by the way.
Right.
So yeah, Paul Skeens and Jared Jones. I from a long-term situation, because I have Skeens in a keeper league, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. I want them to be cautious, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think they're going to keep because if you look, his pitch count keeps going up every game.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, he threw 100 pitches the other day. So
Yep.
I don't know. I think they're just going to, I'm not sure they're going to limit him. I honestly don't. I think they're going to ride it out.
If the Pirates are out of contention, I see no reason to keep running those guys out there. Jared Jones, I think I mentioned this a couple months back, has never thrown more than 120 innings in the minors. It's not saying that he's going to throw 120 and stop. I definitely think they'll probably up that maybe to anywhere between 130 to 150, but nothing more than that. Paul Skeens, same thing. I'd imagine he'd get 100 to 120 innings this year. That lineup is atrocious. We've already discussed that. And I don't see them, me personally, I don't see them being playoff contenders, but I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibilities. But it's clear that these guys are going to be their number one, number two, 1A, 1B aces here for a long time to come. So they'll be careful with them. And they were already babying Skeens in AAA, so I don't see that changing up in the bigs.
Man, they're fun to watch, though. So It's just one of those things where you can't really worry about tomorrow. You just got to try to enjoy today.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Britton, who's a third hitter that you like? Do you have a third hitter that you like as a waiver wire ad?
I still like Mike Tauchman for the Cubs.
You love Mike Tauchman.
He's a lefty. He bats leadoff for the Cubs when they face righties. Mac Tauchman, and he is producing. So my number one would be who you brought up, Jake Myers. Number two would be Luis Matos. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Luis Matos from the San Francisco Giants. But if those guys are gone, Mike Tauchman for the Cubs is still hitting and still batting leadoff. And I've got this fixation, shall we say, idea fixe with players that hit 1, 2, 3. It's always been there. I don't know why. I want players that hit at the top of the order because I want those plate appearances. Mike V, I got to get the plate appearances. I'm like a drug addict. And I go up to the gym, I'm like, give me the plate appearances. So that's why. That's right. And, statistically, at the end of the day, it's like if you're batting ninth, you're guaranteed 3 at-bats.
3 at-bats, yeah.
You're batting first, you're guaranteed 4 to 5. So it's just like a numbers thing. But, I try to look. I want to see who's batting 1, 2, 3. And now typically, it's going to be your superstars because, it's not hard to figure out from math that you want your best hitters getting the most plate appearances. Real simple. Mookie Betts, he's never going to bat 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th in his life.
No,
that's never happening.
That's never happening.
So any players that are batting 1, 2, or 3, the reason why their managers put them there is because at this moment in time, those are the best hitters on the team, and these managers want to win because if they don't, they get fired. So
that's right.
That's why I look for hot hitters like Tauchman batting leadoff, Luis Matos batting leadoff. I don't think Jake Myers bats leadoff, but when you're that hot, white hot, like not red hot, like red hot's for suckers. Like if you go to the hot sauce aisle and you see the red sauce, like Louisiana hot or a Frank's red hot, like that's not hot. I mean, that's
not hot sauce.
It's hotter than say soy sauce. But then you go look, like if you see anything green that says habanero on it, like that's the hot sauce. That's the hot sauce. Like that's how you know what's hot. Is not the red, it's the green, and also 1, 2, 3. That's the hot sauce. Those are the hottest hitters. So that's who I like for. Am I going to beat this hot sauce analogy into the ground like a dead raccoon? Yes,
I love it, man. I love it because you're spot on. And it's not. I'm with you. You can't win if you don't play, right? And you want guys to have as many at-bats as possible, right? Not just to, and a lot of people are very fixated on home runs and RBIs, but you want guys who get on base. You want guys who hit for a good average. You want guys who score runs, and it can also chip in a couple stolen bases here and there. So there's a reason why they're batting 1, 2, 3. If not, they're hitting towards the lower third of the lineups because they have good plate discipline. They have good skills, right? Contact metrics, whatever we're talking about, right? And you want that in fantasy, right? So it is a thing that I look for as well, where they bat in the lineup. But like we talked about with Jake Myers, who I think his spot in the lineup is probably going to be anywhere between 6, 7, 8. I don't think he'll ever surpass, Tucker, Altuve, and Alvarez in that 1, 2, 3 spot.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can be the hottest hitter in baseball, and you're not cracking that lineup with those superstars. No. It's like the Dodgers too. Like Mookie Betts, I don't care if he goes 0 for 50. He's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? He's going to hit first, second, or third, depending on lineup analysis or whatever. So, yeah. And again, speaking on this topic, Davis Schneider, the mustache, the man from the Toronto Blue Jays, he's still batting leadoff every single day. It looked like Toronto had kind of started to turn a little bit, like Guerrero had a little hot streak. Even Bo Bichette started to hit. It looks like it may have cooled down, but one guy that hasn't cooled down is still my boy, Davis Schneider. He's still taking walks. He's still batting leadoff. I believe he's second base and outfield eligible. So you got a little flexibility there, but Davis Schneider, I also like in this group of players we're talking about.
There you go. Yeah, and I love all those calls. I think that's great. My third guy is, and somebody we have a bet on, Mr. Kerry Carpenter, Britton Allan.
Ooh.
Back-to-back games with home runs, but over the last 2 weeks, he's hitting .314 with 8 runs, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. And this is the guy that I made the note on too. He does sit against lefties, so it's worth noting that.
Daily move though, put him in. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, 63% rostered in Yahoo formats. I don't know if he's actually in the lineup today. He's not. So it's frustrating if you have guys who again are back-to-back games with homers, and then they're like, "Hey, you know what, Kerry? We love the fact that you're hitting the shit out of the baseball and probably arguably one of our better hitters. But you know what? Why don't you go park your ass over at the end of the bench there and just chew on sunflower seeds? Because why not? We need to get Matt Vierling's bat in the lineup today, man. So go ahead and have a seat. Just doesn't make any sense to me. But Kerry Carpenter is kind of in that group, like a Luke Raley grouping, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Like if you missed out on Luke Raley, Kerry Carpenter, they're kind of interchangeable for me. But Kerry Carpenter is a guy who qualifies at first base and outfield in Yahoo format. So there's another guy, if you need a power bat, go grab Kerry Carpenter.
Love Kerry Carpenter. You're right. He's like Ryan O'Hearn. You know, like when he's in the lineup, he's going to bat 3 or 4, and he's
very
going to
good
hit.
comp. Yeah, very good comparison. I love that.
Yeah, and if you're in a weekly lock league, then just take a look and see if he's got a bunch of righties. If you're in a daily league, even better, because when you see that 3 or 4 next to his name, you know to put him in your lineup. Hey, speaking of Tigers, can we shout out Reese Olson? He got his first win yesterday.
Love him.
He had been 0-5 with a 2.34 ERA or some ridiculous stuff. But he got the win yesterday because the Tigers gave him an explosion of run support. And when I mean explosion, I mean 2 whole runs. But he managed to keep the Blue Jays for 1 run. So if we're doing math, and I'll talk to my 12-year-old daughter about this to confirm, but I believe 2 is more than 1.
Oh, yeah.
So congratulations, Reese Olson, on getting your first win of the year. And thank you, Detroit Tigers, for coming alive,
Well, hang on real quick. Did they only score 2 runs yesterday?
Yeah. 2-1 was the final. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If you have the box score open, why don't you go ahead and tell me how those 2 runs were scored yesterday for the Detroit Tigers? And I wonder if there's any correlation with that.
I know how they were scored because I watched Kerry Carpenter hit that home run, and it was early in the game too, as I recall. So yeah, Tigers. Winsel Perez, 0 for. Riley Green, 0 for. Mark Canna, he had a hit, and then your boy Kerry Carpetbag Carpenter, 2 hits, 2 RBIs, the only 2 RBIs on the entire team. Good job playing right field, Kerry Carpenter. But like you said, he bats cleanup.
Yep.
So good for good, and thankfully Mark Canna was on base, so he got that. So he got that other RBI.
Exactly right.
Right.
Question here for you, Mr. John Burr. What's up, John? Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel here. He's got a question for us, Britton. He wants to know who we would rather have in a points league. Lane Thomas Joe Adell, Sean Murphy, Nathaniel Lowe, and Jake Myers. I'm going to answer this one first here. I'm going to go Joe
Yeah, go ahead.
Adell. I'm big on Joe Adell this year. Somebody asked me, I think a couple weeks ago, if I believe that the breakout is real. Yes, if you go look at his StatCast page, all of his advanced metrics support what he's doing right now. The only thing that I don't like about Joe Adell right now is he's a free swinger. And he chases a lot. So he's a very aggressive hitter. He wants to hit, and I think teams will start to pick up on that. So he's not immune to a slump, like just like any player in baseball. It's going to happen at some point. He's been hitting well. I don't like his spot in the lineup right now either. Hitting seventh, I think, is normally where he hits. But if he can cut down on the chases and the whiffs, I think he can move up in the lineup. And if that happens, he's a guy that can very well give you a power speed combo. People forget Joe Adell was the #1 prospect in baseball not too long ago. So
numero uno.
Yep. So I like it. I still like him. Second for me behind this is tough. I mean, if you're talking about just recent production, Jake Myers could probably make an argument for being number 2, but Lane Thomas and Nathaniel Lowe are probably 2 and 3 respectively there. So I'd go Joe Adell, Lane Thomas, Nate Lowe, Jake Myers, Sean Murphy. That's just how I would rank them. But how about you, Britton?
I'm the exact same way. I want Joe Adell on every team and ride it out and see what happens, because Joe Adell is like Nick Gonzalez, like a top prospect that failed for so many months that he's just kind of forgotten about. People have given up on him, but Joe Adell didn't give up, and he's out there producing. I really like Joe Adell. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, Joe. So he's out there doing it. So yeah, Adell, Thomas, Myers, Lowe, and Murphy. I'm not all that interested in Sean Murphy. Do I have some Sean, some Irish, because Sean Murphy's Irish, right? Maybe I have some type of like blinders on, like for the Irishness of Sean Murphy, but I don't know. What do you think? Am I wrong about Sean Murphy? I just don't care.
No, I don't. I will say that I had a lot of shares of him in the early going last year when he was just red hot. But that was also when Travis d'Arnaud was hurt. So now that he's back, they're going to split time between those guys. It's a good problem for the Braves to have, is to keep both those guys fresh. And they both are pretty comparable in terms of just production wise. So unless Sean Murphy is getting regular playing time, which I don't see happening even when he comes back, he's 5 on this list. He's the most part-time player of all these guys. Everybody else is actually playing. Sean Murphy is the only part-time player on this list. So he's automatically 5 for me. So no, I don't think you're wrong at all.
Another player too that's been kind of hot that to consider is Alex Kirilloff for the Minnesota Twins. He was a big time prospect too, but he had injury after injury. But he was a big name coming up years ago. His father's like a college hitting coach. Alex Kirilloff for the Twins. It looks like his power's on. He's starting to hit. So if you need like a corner infield, you're in that situation and you want a hot power bat. I also like the name Kirilloff because he's kind of like a villain, like a James Bond villain. Like, Kirilloff has got the missiles and the
AK-47
and the AK. He's got henchmen with the AK-47, and then you got old Kirilloff back there shooting vodka at 9 a.m., like looking at his nukes, being like, "I can't wait to blow shit up." So that's Alex Kirilloff.
That's what he's thinking in the dugout. He's like, what am I doing after this game? Maybe I'll go blow some shit up and drink vodka. That's what
I was like, I'm going to go get wasted on vodka and get my AK-47 and start shooting at British undercover agents because they suck.
That's what he does in his free time, Britton.
He's actually very religious.
Oh, is he?
I've got a signed Alex Kirilloff baseball, and he put a little Bible verse on there. He went to Liberty University, which is a religious based. So everything we just said, the exact opposite is true. So
that's just a cover story, man. That's what he does.
That's his deep cover. Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
B. Henny wants to know, he's in need of a third baseman and Willie Castro is available. Thinking about dropping Byron Buxton for him. I'm low on the waiver wire though. B. Henny, I don't think you're going to have anybody that's going to be fighting you too hard over him. Willie Castro was red hot for a while, but he's cooled off since.
He was hacking yesterday. I watched him. I watched his plate appearances. I'm a big Willie Castro fan.
Same.
2 L's, 2 eyes, but he bats at literally the bottom of the order, and he's kind of cooled off. He does have power and speed. He stole 33 bases last year, which puts him top 5 in all of Major League Baseball. So there's definitely upside there, but yeah, he's definitely cooled off. I would take Kirilloff if Kirilloff is available over Willie Castro, just because
Well,
of the power.
He needs a third baseman though, Britton.
Oh,
So,
third base. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If Nolan Gorman is out there, I would take Nolan Gorman over Willie Castro.
Oh, hell yeah. And you know what's weird is that the Cardinals are actually starting to win. I think they've won 7 of the last 8.
They swept my O's.
They're beating the Cubs at home these days, which I know my grandparents were from St. Louis, and I know people in St. Louis love beating the Cubs. So it looks like the Cubs may have turned it around. And Nolan Gorman is a big reason for that. So yeah, if Nolan Gorman's somehow out on your waiver wire, go grab him, go smash that button.
Yeah, Willie, and also another guy that could be out there. He's 74% rostered, but it could be a small chance. Luis Rengifo of the Angels, who just came back off the IL, so maybe somebody dropped him. So I'd actually rank them if in this order. I'd actually go Rengifo, Gorman, and then Castro. But Britton, what say you?
I agree. Rengifo's been super hot too, you know?
Yeah, he's good.
But again, it's like this weird West Coast, maybe it's me, but I know you're in Baltimore, but I just like, I don't, if I do stay up late, I'm not, I'm probably not watching the Angels a whole lot, but looking at the box score, like Luis Rengifo for the Angels, like fills it up. And
yeah, he's hitting number 2 as well. So
hit number 2. And, I'm going to beat that dead horse. God, give me those plate appearances, Luis Rengifo hitting number 2. And what about their number 1 hitter? Is that Nolan Shanwell? Shanwell, yes, sir. Yep. He's their first baseman. That's kind of interesting too. I'd keep my eye on Nolan Shanwell, played first base for the Angels. I mean, how often do you see a first baseman bat leadoff?
You don't. And he got called.
You really don't.
Quick.
Maybe did Nate Lowe do it last year for the Rangers? I can't remember.
I don't know. When he was with the Rays, I think maybe Kevin Cash might have done that to him and batted him up there. But Lowe's a good good leadoff hitter. I wouldn't bat him there, but he does get on base a lot, and he's got a good average. So John Kempton, Britton, wants to know, is Alex Bregman droppable in a 10-man categories league? He also has Nolan Gorman. For me, John, the answer is a hard no. You just don't drop guys like Alex Bregman. I know players are frustrating sometimes, especially some of these guys who are slumping early. We talked about the Braves hitters. We talked about some of the Astros, like the Dodgers sometimes even have some guys that slump. No hitter on the planet Earth or in MLB is immune to being in a slump. And Alex Bregman, I think he's done this now 2 years in a row. He'll go on a tear at some point. He's a slow starter, and his numbers are always there in the end. He's one of the most consistent third basemen in baseball. But it also depends on who you're dropping him for, John. My big thing, if there's somebody out there that's worth dropping Bregman for, then I would look to trade Bregman. I would not straight drop him at all. I would try to trade him well before I was even thinking about dropping him. So, but Britton, I don't know if you have any hard feelings on that.
No, I agree. But see, that's the thing is it's 10-man categories, like 10 team. Yep. Like the waiver wire is going to be littered with good players. So if in a league like that, and you want to drop Bregman, I think you can drop him. I personally would not. Even though I know they're good players out on the waiver wire in a 10-team league, but I would keep them just because. All right, so you got Altuve, Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, Bregman. So he's right smack dab with these elite hitters, and he's starting out slow, and they're at Oakland, and nobody likes to hit at Oakland. No one likes going to Oakland. Apologies to West Coast people. I'm just insulting everybody. I'm insulting Irish. I'm insulting West Coast people. I'm insulting Russians. Apparently, I mean, I'm just doing all kinds of bad things. But anyway, so keep Bregman, because here's another thing too. I also believe in. This is his walk year. Okay, so Bregman's late 20s. Like, he has to perform to cash in. This contract is the rest of his life. You know, I mean, he might get another one later on, but this is the Alex Bregman walk here. I believe in my heart. I believe in that little tiny shriveled up organ in my heart. Me and the Grinch. Turn down your music.
Shooting vodka.
There was some shooting vodka. There were some kids talking. I was like, turn it down. I want to take a nap. I'm just kidding. I honestly believe Alex Bregman is going to turn around. We know he's talented. We know he goes through slumps. I think he's going to take off at some point, and then hopefully it's not on somebody else's roster. So, long old man rant done. I would keep Alex Bregman.
Yeah, here's the thing with Alex Bregman too. He did this last year. He still finished with a 262 average. He played 161 games, so he missed one game last year. Hit 262 with 25 home runs and 98 RBIs. The year before that, 23 home runs and 93 RBIs, 259 average. So he plays. He wants to be in the lineup. Obviously, the outlier year was the year he hit 41 home runs. But this is a guy that has 25, 30 homer pop, no problem. I can guarantee you, John, if I'm in your league and you drop Alex Bregman, I'm literally dropping everything that I have and dropping my worst player to go grab Bregman. So if that's the case and you know your league mates are going to scoop him, trade him first before you drop him. Let's get to another question here, Britton.
Because this could be like a Torkelson situation. Remember how bad Torkelson was last year and he got dropped? People that picked up Torkelson after a month and a half of bad stats rode that sucker into victory because he had like 29 home runs the rest of the year. So I think this is like that situation. I'd keep Bregman.
Yeah. TM wants to know, we already ranked 3 of these guys already, Britton, but he wants to know. Brian Bayo, Nick Lodolo, Christian Scott, Tanner Bybee. How you ranking those guys?
Oh, Bybee number 1 in that situation. He had another good start yesterday with the Guardians. Tanner Bybee, he's back. He had a rough start, but I think he's back in the good graces. Plus, the Guardians win, and they have one of the best closers in baseball. So give me Tanner Bybee. I like Christian, and the rest of the guys. They're kind of the same to me.
Same.
They're going to have good starts. They're going to have bad starts. You don't know. So, but Christian Scott's a strikeout pitcher. Lodolo can strike people out. Bello, I think, is the biggest. Flip a coin on his start. I mean, start him at home on good matchups. And because man, he can blow up your ratios like real quick. But all these guys can. But I would anyway. I know I'm long-winded, Mike B. But all right, give me Bybee, Lodolo, Scott, then Bello.
Lock it in. I'm in that exact same ranking as well, TM. So there you go. Charles P. What's up, Charles? Big fan of the show. We're big fans of Charles. Glad you're feeling better, buddy. Yeah, I love Charles. Good dude. I love engaging with him. He wants to know, who do we like better between Nolan Gorman and Ryan McMahon in a head-to-head points league redraft? For me, it's Ryan McMahon, just because of the home ballpark factor. He hits third. He's actually having a breakout year.
A great year. Yeah,
he's been rock solid all season long. I like Nolan Gorman too, but Ryan McMahon plays every day. Nolan Gorman's going to sit against some lefties here and there. I like Ryan McMahon, especially given the lineup spot, batting third and in the home ballpark, playing half his game in course.
Right. Nobody talks about Ryan McMahon, but what you got to do every now and then, look, Mike, you got to take a little look-see on Ryan McMahon. He's playing great, super solid. He's just solid. He plays every day and he produces. So, and that's what you want. Head-to-head points. I mean, plays every day, produces. Give me Ryan McMahon. Ooh.
Yeah, agreed. Irrespective of the position and head-to-head points redraft, how do you rank these players? Gleyber Torres, Nick Gonzalez, Michael Busch, Joey Ortiz. TM, man, you always give us the entire waiver wire that's on there. Gleyber Torres, Nick Gonzalez, Michael Busch, Joey Ortiz, Mark Vientos, Zach Geloff. Britton, let's just say for the sake of things,
I know you're going to say Gleyber 1. Just get it over with.
Yeah, it's Gleyber 1 for me. I'd probably go Nick Gonzalez 2 and then Michael Busch 3. I don't have any interest in Joey Ortiz or Mark Vientos. Zach Geloff could maybe make a push for being in the top 3 here, so he's a guy I'd probably rank 4th on this list. But what do you think here, Britton?
I'm going to do Nick Gonzalez number 1. He's super hot. Joey Ortiz number 2. Busch, because I love the Brewers. For some reason, they're hitting like wild people. uh, Glaber Torres, Bush, and then Vientos. I put Geloff last. Is there any? Is there any thing I'm missing with Geloff?
No, I mean, obviously last year we talked about this in our pre-draft show between him and Matt McLean, and both of them have sucked. Obviously Matt McLean's hurt, but so it hasn't worked out well. But their numbers were very comparable last year if you looked at it between Geloff and McLean. So he's been hurt. I do think he's probably going to not be as good as he was last year. Yeah, he's fourth for me. So I'm not super high on him either this year. Just team context sucks, but if he's a guy who's going to be hitting in that proverbial 1, 2, 3 there, Britton, he might be a guy in front of guys like Brent Rooker, who's been hitting the shit out of the baseball. Excuse me.
He's awesome.
Yeah, Zach Geloff is a guy that I could have some interest in. But yeah,
you mentioned Matt McLean, and we talked about the Wire stash house in Baltimore. You know, your neck of the woods, Charm City, with Omar. Omar listening. Give me also put Mac McLean on your watch list. You know, hit that little watch button because he's going to be coming back in June, I believe, and he's an elite player when he's healthy. So click on Matt McLean. Another stash one to take a look at. I can't remember if I mentioned him earlier. Jason Dominguez or Jason Dominguez for the New York Yankees. He's coming back too. I want to say he's already doing rehab starts.
He is.
But
yeah.
keep your eye on Jason Dominguez. He got injured last year, but when he was playing, he was great. Great. Tony the Tiger, great. Frosted Flakes, delicious. Give me that sugar bomb, baby. I love the Lucky Charms. I love Frosted Flakes. I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Raisin Bran, for F off. Give me all that good sugary deliciousness.
Raisin Bran Crunch is good.
We'll agree to disagree on that scenario. But also keep your eye on Noelvi Marte for the Cincinnati Reds. Yeah. He's coming back too. And Mike V, I don't know, he got busted for PEDs, cheater, pumpkin eater. But when he was playing last year, he was great. He has power, speed, an elite prospect that came over from Seattle to Cincinnati when they traded Luis Castillo. So keep your eye on Noel V. Marte, because when he comes back, and it's going to be in a couple weeks, but when he comes back, I think he's going to slide right back into Cincinnati offense and have a very, very good summer. So Noel V. Marte, put him in your stash house.
Yeah. Also, real quick, I think Matt McLean's not due back until August or September.
Is it?
Yeah.
But all right, so on your waiver, on your watch list priority, okay, because at your stash house you have like the expensive drugs, and then you just have like the weed. All right, so just put him in the weed pile, and put Noel V on your high end stuff, because that's what he is. I mean, he's Noel V. Marte could be one of the better hitters when he's back. I'm all about some Marte.
Marte for me is the number one stash right now if you're looking to add a guy, because he will be back in a couple of weeks. He will go on a rehab stint. I do see him back in June though, but he's a guy who's one of the Reds' top prospects, and there's going to be playing time for him. And he's a guy who will be batting in the upper third of the lineup, I would assume, at some point this season.
Don't wait till it's too late. I'm not saying go grab him like today or anything, but
that's in June.
You know, in a week or two, don't let him start raking in rehab because other people, because you know, other podcasts will start talking about him. The CBS guys will be like, Noel V. Marte is coming up, and then some Yahoo in your league is going to pick him up that hadn't made a roster move all season long, and you're going to be like, why?
Yep, absolutely. Edward Kelly wants to know, could you give us the Utah Give Me Two? We don't have the soundboard, unfortunately, Edward, but we'll give it to you, acoustic version, if you will.
Give me two.
Picture perfect. Who needs a soundboard when you have Britton Allan, guys?
That's right.
HP. Let's breeze through a couple of these here, Britton, because then I got to get out of here. Who would you drop Mitch Garver for Jansen, Ruiz, or Ohapi in a 12-team 5x5 OBP? For me, it's Logan Ohapi.
Oh, I love Danny Jansen's hot.
Yep.
So
he was number 2 for me.
Yeah. I like Ohapi. I would do Jansen, Ohapi, Ruiz would be how I would rank those.
There you go. Bizza wants to know if Cowser doesn't produce today, I'm dropping for Langford. I saw your question earlier, Bizza. I apologize for skipping over it. I believe you said you dropped Wyatt Langford when he got hurt. That's worth noting. I believe he had 3 hits yesterday, Wyatt Langford.
Yep.
I'm not a homer. I'm not just saying this because I'm an O's fan. Colton Cowser has been hitting the ball a little bit harder today, recently, which is great. I know he's in a funk. But I'd give him another week or two before I'm ready to straight drop him. But Wyatt Langford does need to be owned. I definitely think he'll right the ship at some point. But I think they're going to leave him down in AAA to get some extra seasoning before he comes up, Britton. But what are your thoughts on that? Are you dropping Colton Cowser for? Well, let me ask you this: Who would you rather have rest of season, Colton Cowser or Wyatt Langford?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to go Colton Cowser because Colton Cowser has actually produced in the major leagues. Wyatt Langford hadn't. Not
Good
saying
call.
he won't. I'm saying he
Good call.
will. I'm saying he will. But right now, in a redraft league, and I assume this is redraft, if it's dynasty, I would drop anybody for Langford. But if it's redraft league, stick with Cowser would be what I would do.
I want to bring this up real quick. Edward says Lucky Charms and Frosted Flakes are banned in Norway and Austria for cancer-causing chemicals. Real quick, I'm a nutrition buff, and I'm also, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm a trainer as well. Causation is not the same thing as correlation, right? So they're not one and the same. They may have quote unquote chemicals in there, but the dose is always in the poison is always in the dose. So I don't necessarily agree with this statement. I actually don't agree with it at all.
Can you buy cigarettes in Norway?
Oof.
I bet you can.
And alcohol.
I bet you can.
Yeah. Thank you very much for bringing that up, Britton. I love that. That's going to be my next point. Who loses playing time in Cincy when Marte and McLean return? Like I said, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. I doubt if Matt McLean returns this year, guys. I think it's a lost season for him.
Oh, yeah. That's a bummer. I'm glad you hooked me up with that because for some reason I had in my mind that he was going to be back late June. But looking through it as you're talking, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is August, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
And at that point,
they're
going to be careful with him, especially when he does get back to being 100%. It's going to be too late by that time. So they'll probably just shut him down. Adam Lee wants to know questions of the day. He's got a lot of them here for us. Dump one and Roto, JD Martinez, Luis Matos, or Wyatt Langford. Which of those 3 are you dropping?
Wyatt, and I don't think twice about it.
Okay, for me,
JD Martinez and Matos are playing every day.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for right now. Well, actually, I take that back. I'm a Wyatt Langford guy, so I'm probably going to drop JD Martinez of those 2, or those 3. I mean, number 2, first base fill-in: O'Hearn, Manzardo, or Aranda. Britton, who you got there?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to go O'Hearn. But Ryan O'Hearn for the Baltimore Orioles. I know he sits against lefties. I'm fine with that. Frankly, I'm not sure I want him to hit against lefties. But he produces against righties, and he plays a lot more righties than lefties, and he hits 3rd or 4th for the Baltimore Orioles. I love that. Manzardo has started out ice cold. You can't start Kyle Manzardo. Jonathan Aranda is interesting. He's got power, and it looks like he's going to play every day. So for me, it's between O'Hearn and Aranda. I personally like Ryan O'Hearn a tidge more because of his track record.
I'm with that. Ryan O'Hearn's probably got the most, and his spot in the lineup is always going to be in the upper 3rd, no lower than 5 in that O's lineup. So
the O's they want to play Ryan O'Hearn. The management does like he's an important part of their team.
Yeah.
So and they know what they're doing in Baltimore. So I would stick with O'Hearn.
He'll sit in against some lefties there. So
you missed the most important part of that question.
Oh, what was it? Oh my God!
We got to go back.
Is it okay to start a happy hour at 2 p.m. on
Memorial Day weekend? Okay? It's required, sir. It is non-negotiable.
Before 2 p.m.
It's not like a discretion decision making. It is must. It is unacceptable to consider anything other than that, is what I think.
There you go. That's probably the most important question of the day that we got there, Britton.
Yeah, you might want to mic drop it on that one, Mike V.
Yeah. HP. Thanks, fellas. No problem, buddy. Adam Lee says, thanks for the wisdom. No problem. Charles P. Crazy to drop Crochet to stash Gavin Williams. No. You're holding Garrett Crochet. Find another way to get Gavin Williams. You can't after what he's been doing over the past couple of games, or really the past week or 2 of games for Garrett Crochet. There's no way in hell you drop him. Yeah.
He hasn't been good. He's been great. Chemicals, Frosted Flakes. What are you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, give me all that cancer-causing
I don't
cereal.
care. Hey, you're not going to live forever. You're just not. No one does. So eat your Frosted Flakes.
So far we've talked about drugs, we've talked about AK-47s,
I'm going to
vodka,
get
and
banned.
cancer-causing cereals. Yeah,
Yes.
right.
This was my last podcast. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. The FCC or whatever. I don't care. Hey, at least we went out on a bunch of
On a
Curel
bang?
off. Yeah, whatever.
We went out with a bang, if you will.
Literally
Let
a
up.
bang. An AK-47. Rat tat 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 tat.
HPHP wants to know CES worth the stash or switch for Marte. It's for me, it's Marte HPHP, but I don't know how Britton feels on that one.
Marte, 100%. As you can probably tell, I'm all in on Novi Marte. I'm the president of the Novi Marte fan club. There's plenty of room on this bandwagon. Anybody that wants to hop on, I'm not driving. I know that. Like, I hire a driver. I'm not driving. I'm in the back of the bus. Plenty of room in the bus. We've got fur, carpeting.
We've got vodka.
What happens at the back of the bus stays at the back of the bus, and I generally encourage people to come and hang out on the Novi Marte bus.
I will be riding shotgun on that bus, or maybe you're VP of the Novi Marte.
There's a VP section, Mike V. Right. You're 100% in it. We're popping that Cristal. Watch out, Noville. I can't wait for Novi Marte. That's like the highlight of my summer. Like, some people go on vacation, or go on guide trips. Or go to Chicago and go to Wrigley Field with their family. Right. I don't care about any of that. I just want Novi Marte to play. That's the highlight of my summer.
Yeah, some guys like beaches and
beaches, family,
and all that. Britton's he's a man of simple taste, folks. He likes give him a vodka, some AK-47s, and some Miller Lights, and he's in like Flint, man. I mean, he's ready to go.
America.
HPHP, he says, wait, so do you drop Garver for Jansen or Hoppy? We HPHP, sorry if we didn't make this clear. I'm on Hoppy, Britton is on Danny Jansen. So
I've always had a thing about Danny Jansen, and I think it's because I bought some Topps cards, and one of the random autos that came with the batch was a Danny Jansen auto. So I may be a little bit blinded due to my Danny Jansen auto baseball card, because I'm 47 years old and I care about baseball cards. What does that tell you? I don't know what's okay about that, but that's how we're rolling.
There you go. All right, so we just run through a couple of these, and then I got to head out of here, Britton. I'm going to go enjoy my quote-unquote happy hour. Starts at 2 p.m. apparently, so I got to get started on that. Gentlemen, thank you for taking time out of your holiday weekend to give us a show today. Absolutely, Edward, happy to do it. That's what we do. This Britton guy is wise beyond belief. Yes, indeed, he is.
Like little Yoda.
Exactly. Is it possible with a beard? Is it possible for the Orioles' talented minor leaguers get too much seasoning in AAA to the point where they lose their trade value? No. They're probably going to end up trading some of these guys this year, I would say. But
that's an interesting question, because at some point,
but
at some point, man, no matter how good the steak you buy at the steak store, at the butcher, the steak store, the house, no matter how good that steak is, no matter, it can be the Wagyu beef straight from the Emperor of Japan's personal pantry, but if you cook it too long, it's not going to be good. So I don't know, man. I think they need to do. I think go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, here's my thing. And I've mentioned this point. I'm so glad you brought this up, Edward, because I was talking to buddies about this. You know what the best part about being the Orioles is, and Mike Elias is, I don't have to trade any of these guys. You know what I can do? I can take my sweet ass time with figuring out who's going to work and who's not. And if it's at the expense of other teams, who gives a shit? So if they find out, hey, we got 4 or 5 guys that we have no spot for, let's evaluate these guys to the fullest before we start looking to trade some of these guys right now. So that way we know who we want to keep. So I do agree with the point that, yes, there's not a spot for all of these guys to play, obviously. And some of these guys who are like Cedric Mullins or Ryan Mountcastle, Jorge Mateo, Luis Urias, like those guys are all going to be gone at some point. So there will be some openings at some point in the, not maybe this year, but years moving forward. But in order for them to be contenders and for me at least, for a World Series. They're going to have to shore up the bullpen and the starting rotation. So I think they can move on from some, not all, of the guys that we have in the minor leagues. HB says last podcast. He's laughing at that one. Britton, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Go Vols. Thanks,
Go
guys.
Vols. Go Big Orange. It's not too late, Big Orange.
Expensive drugs, weed, and vodka. Marte could be riding that bus too. Here's an interesting one for you. One for you, Britton. Noelvi Marte or Junior Caminero?
Oh, that's kind of like that's like Sophie's choice, like this one or this one. You got it. And I'm like, Junior Caminero.
Yeah, Junior Caminero for me too. I'm glad you said that. It's vodka seltzer with a splash of C4 Energy, black cherry or Starburst for the win. Holy shit. Just make sure you get a splash of the C4 because it has a lot of caffeine in it. But that's
going to kick you off into orbit right there, my friend.
That's right. All right. Thank you guys very much. Britton, anything else we want to talk about? Hang on real quick. I want to make sure, because I put in some work on this. Here are 4 guys that you can add for pitcher ads. Taj Bradley, only 49% rostered. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but he needs to be rostered. Yep. Andrew Abbott has put together quietly a couple of really good starts. I know a lot of people are out on him, but his ERA sits at 2.68. So Trevor Williams is another guy. Hard to ignore what he's doing right now.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy what Trevor Williams is doing, but you've got to pay attention. Mm-hmm. Every molecule in your body is like, I am not picking up Trevor Williams. I won't. I'm not. And then he goes out and does it again, and you're like, okay.
It's hard to ignore.
At some point, it's a production game. And he's producing. He's been like Ranger Suarez. Like it's going to stop at some point. But hey, look, you gotta ride it and see what happens. So yeah, I would put Trevor Williams number one of those.
I like that. 2.29 ERA. So he's out there. Alec Marsh, Uncle Ted, if you're still listening, kudos to you. He called this one. I wouldn't say he's not an elite SP, but he's a guy that can fill out the back end of your rotations in fantasy. Good ERA, good ball club. And a guy that has some K potential as well, anywhere between 5, 6, 7 a game. So as long as he's limiting the hard contact and the runs, he's a guy that you can probably find on your waiver wire, low roster percentage right now. So go get Alec Marsh if you need some help in the starting pitching department.
Yep. Great call.
All right, Britton, I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your Sunday, and hopefully you're not working tomorrow, and you're able to enjoy some Miller Lights tonight and tomorrow, my friend. Thanks so much for jumping on here with this show today. I really appreciate you taking the time out and helping out.
Man, it's a lot of fun. It really is. I look forward to these Sunday shows. They're awesome. Thank you for letting me come on, and thank you to everyone listening and everyone on the message board, the chat. Really appreciate it. Lots of great questions, and it's a lot of fun. Thank you all.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you guys who don't know, follow us on Twitter/X. I'm at _Mike VA. Britton's at Britton Allan, 2 T's, 2 L's. Make sure you're following us on all the socials. We really appreciate the support. Hey, if you're not doing anything right now and you really want to support the show, go on Apple Podcast or Spotify Podcast, or do both if you're feeling froggy. Have a couple of those vodka seltzers with a splash of that C4 energy, and go out there and leave us a nice comment on Apple Podcast if you would. We'd really appreciate it. It really helps us out and supporting the show. So
yeah, that would be really nice. A nice little 5-star review. You would make my teeny tiny little shriveled heart just grow a little bit bigger.
For every 5-star review that you guys leave, that's one more Miller Lite that Britton Allan will be drinking today, folks.
That's right. So. Screw you, liver. I didn't need you anyway.
Thank you guys very much for today. Appreciate it. If you guys got questions after today's show, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or get in the Palazzo Podcast Discord. Have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you all to those who have served and fought for this country and continue to serve. I want to make sure I make that clear as well. You are appreciated more than just tomorrow and this weekend. So
absolutely.
Thank you guys very much. Have a great weekend. We'll see y'all next week.